I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and this is the quarterfinals of the 2025 Carcassonne Champions League, where Latvia's napalmeye will be playing against Thailand's Pakshe. Because my teammate is playing, this will not be an impartial stream by any means, and instead of deep analysis of intricate Carcassonne tactics, you're going to get unapologetic, unbridled cheerleading screams. This is at least what I expect from today's stream, but before the match has started, it is expected to start in just about a minute. Let's do a bit of a preview. So both players have had quite a convincing tournament journey, as napalmeye defeated the reigning world champion Senglar 2-0 in the first round of playoff, then defeated the Chinese master with the screen name Secret Star in the second round of playoffs, also 2-0, and now they're here in the final 8. Pakshe had a bit of a bumpier ride as they conceded one game to Thailand's Hydra Baby, but then they quite confidently defeated Ukraine's Samuelson in a match that was just streamed a few days ago. So there they are right now. At the moment, napalmeye is in good shape, rated 584, so solid expert rating, 1600 games of experience. Pakshe, on the other hand, even though they started playing Carcassonne a bit later, has risen to the ranks of the highest rated player in Thailand by a hefty margin. They're now have a master rating, also in great shape, and already they have gotten themselves 4,700 games of experience. Hopefully this is not something that they will be able to use against my teammates. Well, either way, regardless of who wins today, either Latvia in the semifinals or Thailand in the semifinals certainly would be quite significant for both of these countries. So we get a bit of bad news that Pakshe, who's playing with the red meeples, is going to get the first crack at the starting player's advantage and the first 4 points in this game, but that's okay, that's okay. We can still come back. 4 points, ain't no big deal. napalmeye with his trademark blue meeples now gets a city cap and is going to start a new city of his own. Does so on the left. Pakshe with a city cap, looking to start either a city or road. It's actually not necessarily obvious. Let's see what he does. Probably a city is a bit better for now. Hi Ludo, hi Vladimir. Do let me know in the chat who you're rooting for, whether you're rooting for the correct side or not. Okay, but maybe let me know who you think is going to win. That would be a more fair ask. Pakshe has already one notable Latvian scalp under his belt, as he defeated Latvia's Krishna, the 2024 Mind Sports Olympiad gold medalist, in the qualification cycle for this tournament, even denying the Latvian master a spot in the Champions League whatsoever. So Giannis has a great motivation to avenge his teammates as well. An extender tile for blue continues his city, prepares to finish a city for 8 points. Pakshe with a Dorito tile. A normal move would be continuing his city, but instead, sadly, he makes the move which is much better, starting another city and putting pressure against Blue's meeple over here, trying to join, and this forces Blue to make a bit of a positional concession. Probably the best that Blue can do is go over here and just try to run away from this invasion, but this will open room for a different invasion on the left. We still gotta do it, I think. There is, of course, an option to go over here and start a new city, but it's not necessarily better because we are being threatened to invade on the left, and at the very least, if we go here, and if our opponent does successfully invade, at the very least, they will be forced to spend another meeple on invasion, and there will be some time how we can maybe bother this red meeple, which is at the bottom, and so on and so on. So let's see what the Latvian decides here. He goes on the right, which is okay. I do think that just simply forcing the issue and going on the left is a little bit better, but I can live with that move as long as it works. As long as it works, that's all I care about. Because obviously in this game, skill isn't everything, it is most things, but you also need to get a bit of luck. And as long as it is on blue's side, then all is well. He's now thinking carefully what to do with the city cap, but it's actually not obvious. So he could just go on the right and finish his city, get himself a meeple back, still have the dream of attacking that city later. Or he could go over here and instead of invading Giannis's city, he could start blocking it. Given the fact that 3 out of the 4 starting tiles have already gone out and this square could potentially be vulnerable, probably the latter move is objectively a little bit better. He could also go here actually and start a 3rd city and also open another platform for potential invasion or block. This would have the disadvantage of giving back a lovely 4-point road for blue to meeple. But this could turn well. Anyway, it has to be one of these 3 moves. There's of course a 4th option going over here and just trying to finish the city like this, and then maybe in the future blocking the square. The point of this move is that it would expose the vulnerability of the city on the right a little bit, but that ain't no big deal, and that's why red goes for what I think is the best move, unfortunately. Tries to continue their city and attack Giannis's city a little bit. Blue gets a city cap, connects to red's new city, prevents him from getting easy 6 points. Red still with a 4-point lead on the scoreboard. Pakshe with an extender, quite an easy move. He will think for half a minute and then undoubtedly extend his city. Yeah, with time management wise, I'm not sure about some of these decisions because we know exactly what his move is going to be. I'm not sure if it is worth exactly burning 30 seconds here. At the start of the game, it won't matter that much, but later in the game, you really want to be tapping into that time bank with a bit more caution. And I think the idea of red, I'm trying to think what could even alternative moves be in this position. I guess he could start going over here and putting some pressure on this square, or he could start going over here and putting some pressure on the square from another side, which would be slightly worse. He could even go here and threaten overtaking the city at the bottom. But all of these moves are slightly inferior to the natural extension. Yeah, so we saw like 40 seconds burnt on the time bank. And then the natural best move has been played. I know I typically advocate for players using their time, but this is one of those cases where using too much time could help your opponent a little bit. So for example, blue has a rather difficult tile to place, and we know that blue was able to use red's time and think on his move during red's time, and that's why he's able to play quickly. Now maybe we can see some time pressure being put by Giannis on Pakshe. And this move is decent. It sets up a connection platform or a blocking platform against this city. A connection platform in all likelihood. Of course, we can't meeple this city because that would be way, way too reckless. It can be way too easily harmed. And now Pakshe has a genuine tile with which it is worth thinking. A move which would give him the most points would be simply starting a 3-point road. This would also set up another road tile trying to hurt that square in the future. But I think a stronger version of this move, so at least finally red makes the move which is not the strongest but second strongest. A stronger move was using the same tile on the left, still indirectly claiming this road, hoping to draw a straight line later and continue this road later, but to immediately set up an attacking square against this city. This move still complete decent. This other move with one straight line to the left was slightly more annoying. Blue, with a curve, looking to start a new road somewhere, I hope. We definitely got a score. The longest road that I can possibly see is this one for 4 points. But the question is it worth it? Because this square is somewhat vulnerable. But the upside of such a move is great. If we do get a road monastery, it's instant 7 points and we get a meeple back, and that's just such a strong setup. But blue does not want to go for it. Instead, he chooses to be a bit more conservative, to not get his meeples blocked. Let's see if it pays off. Red continues his road and creates an attacking square against blue's city, which blue can absolutely safely ignore. Because regardless of how red's going to restrict the square, there are going to be at least 3 tiles that fit there. 2 left-handed daggers have gone out, but all 3 right-handed daggers that could fit here are still out. Also, just to comment a little bit on blue's previous move, this move was actually quite subtle. It was a way to get a bit of value without investing a meeple. It is pre-building a 6-point road in the event he draws one of the daggers, and then he can meeple the road after completing the city. And it also makes it harder for red to put something into the square. And if red doesn't put something into the square, it means that this square is not available for blocking. So that actually was a very, very smart decision by the Latvian, who now also faces another tricky decision with a straight line. Again, same options available. You could start a road, but this time it wouldn't be that strong, because there wouldn't be any high-scoring follow-up to it. This square would be vulnerable, and instead he just discards this tile, which I really, really don't like. Simply because it just doesn't do anything. A move which I think was totally worth playing was simply going here and invading a 4-point road, because 4 point is greater than 0. Yeah, this road meeple is really nice. So there isn't really any reason why we can't go here and equalize. So blue decides that he wants to save meeples for something else. But my concern is that red is already a bit ahead on the scoreboard. If red finishes a 5-point road and then we finish an 8-point city, we're still going to be a little bit behind. And I really don't like being a little bit behind when I don't have to. So this move is okay in the sense that it doesn't do anything actively bad, but it doesn't do anything actively good either. Hi Hugo, hi Sparkle Horsey, hi Devaka. Pakshe with a Dorito with a road tile and facing another not so easy decision. I really like this opening position. There's so many things which are not obvious. So option 1, we continue our city. Option 2 is this, and it's a really, really strong move. You see, red is not afraid to meeple aggressively. He's not afraid to take the 4-point road that napalmeye passed up earlier on. And now he's getting rewarded for it. He's starting a 4-point road. He's setting up a road monastery for even more points, and he's disrupting blue's city a little bit. But blue gets a great tile to continue his city, to cover it up, and then to maybe get a city cap and drop a farmer. Blue pre-meeples a 4-point road. I mean, meeples a 4-point road, which he pre-built for himself earlier on. So very nice foresight here from the Latvian. Now, the downside, of course, of this move, there is a downside, is that it is kind of vulnerable, yes. Blue could go over here and expose this square to some danger. But speaking of exposing squares to danger, look at this move by Pakshe. He's adding 1 point to the Latvian, but makes it so that he needs 2 road ends to complete this road, so that he's not able to complete his road simply as a 6-point loop. So for example, now blue cannot go over here and cannot finish this setup. Red is also threatening some action against this square. So there's really a lot of damage that red has already inflicted on blue's road, which is totally worth the 1-point sacrifice and then some. Blue continues his road, also covering up the city a little bit, but also restricting the city at the same time. So from red, I expect a completion of his road, which would also create some blocking opportunities against this square. It's a threat that's rather easy to defend against, but sometimes, just sometimes, the blue meeple from the city does not make it out alive. Let's hope that this is definitely not some of these times. So 5 points are added to Pakshe's road, predictably, and napalmeye has a very, very easy decision, which he spends no time on. Continue the road, get an extra point, and improve the safety of both the city and the road in the process. Red, with 9 points extra on the scoreboard and a straight line, is looking to continue his road, I would believe. I know it's very nice to wait for the road monastery, but there are only 2 of those in the deck, so you'll likely be waiting for a very, very long time. And there's really not a better use for this tile, unless we go over here. He simply gets himself a point, and Giannis is the one who draws the road monastery. There we go. This is probably the single best tile that we could have hoped for. It obviously goes over here for 6 points. I'm a bit alarmed that blue is taking his time, but this monastery will go there without a doubt. The first monastery of the game, plenty of green squares around it, stacking opportunities. He's going to set up an opportunity to complete his city as well, and he's going to also drop a farmer because there is now a big farm surrounding that city. But the first city cap is drawn by red, who's now ahead 15 points on the scoreboard, which is not great, but napalmeye, with a good tile, has 2 main options available to him. Actually, 3 options. Okay, option 1, which is bad, is going over here and continuing his city. Option 2, which is good, is doing something like this, building up his city and controlling red's road. Option 3, which was almost as good, was turning this tile the other way and meepling the road and trying to connect to the road. But this is actually really, really smart. Now Pakshe could get himself a road meeple back, and in fact Pakshe should get himself a road meeple back, but this would expand blue's city and also set up further expansion for more points. It would incorporate this city into blue's city. But the point of red is that he'll be able to reinvade that city in all likelihood. Or will he? 21 points on the scoreboard is really, really not great, but actually blue's position is not that bad. I hope that blue doesn't start panicking, because blue has features which are about to be completed. 6 points on the monastery, 10 points on the city eventually, 7 points on the road. So this in fact adds up to even more than what Pakshe currently has on the scoreboard, so that's really nothing to worry about. Blue can continue his city in a variety of possible ways. Could go here, but the natural move here makes more sense. We could start a new city, but that would be a bit too risky with only 2 meeples in hand, because in this position we really need to keep the meeples for monasteries. In reality, we want to have even 3 meeples if we draw 3 monasteries to maximize the possible value. But at least 1 monastery we want to place here. Or ideally something like curve, monastery for 6 points. Then straight line, monastery for 6 points. So we can get 9 extra points with a sequence of 3 tiles. Red is getting a shielded tile, which you can use to attack blue quite easily. I presume here is the move. Very interesting decision here by blue to not continue the city in the natural way, but to continue it like this. And the point of this move is that it eliminates an easy city connection platform here. It has some downside. It makes the square a bit more blockable, and it is making it harder for blue to threaten the completion of the city. But what it does quite nicely is that it's a very flexible move. It is not clear necessarily if blue is going to be aiming for the completion of the city or not. So let's say red goes here. Starts the connection. Then blue can go here and block the connection, given the fact that we have a very small number of city plus road tiles available. In fact, we have only one Dorito with a road and only one triple city with a road. And red doesn't even bother. Red simply starts a new city on the right. That is a possible move for sure. It also sets up a potential invasion platform against the road. And napalmeye now has some very interesting ideas available to him. So first of all, he could use the splitter over here and actually try and threaten a completed city here. That would be something quite annoying to deal with, but instead he goes for this farmer. Yes. Oh, yes. Awesome move. Awesome by blue. So this move covers up the city, which still was slightly vulnerable. It makes it harder to invade the road, and it also drops a farmer, which is 0 points now, but once the city is completed with one of the 3 remaining vertical splitter tiles, this field will be worth 9 points. These 2 cities will be worth 14 points. And so on and so on. The downside of this move is that we don't have a meeple now to use on the monastery, and this is exceptionally sad. But that's okay. We even have a better use for the monastery. We could just go over here and prevent red from completing his city with a farmer. And this is exactly the move that is played. Blue, being disciplined here, does not spend his last meeple, and it is correct. You can't be spending your last meeple in this position. You need to get a meeple back first, and then you can spend your last meeple. This move also quite nicely sets up a block of the square, using the fact that there is only one left-handed dagger available, and that's why Pakshe doesn't even give him the chance to block. So he covers up that square. Giannis will be able to block that square a little bit later, but not right now. Right now, he got himself a fantastic tile with which he can go over here, cover up this square, and then still threaten the completion of the city in the future. We can't really afford to start a new city just yet. Again, need to keep that meeple in hand for emergency. Great move here by blue. Red gets a scoring tile. Very curious to see if he's gonna use it here to just score 4 points, which is what I think he should do, or if he's gonna go here and try to start playing against this square. Because there is a threat of blue either drawing the last splitter tile and covering up his city like this, or drawing a sequence of field Dorito plus city cap, covering up his city in the other way, whilst also having more points for his city, and then waiting for one of the 3 cow tiles that fit into the square for the ultimate city completion, with a farmer, by the way. So that's a very big threat that exists. The more I speak about this, the more a point sacrifice from red makes more sense here. Red generally has a bit of more aggressive point scoring style, and they had shown it again in this game by meepling this road, which Giannis forewent earlier. In any case, it has to be between these 2 moves. Yep, and he goes for the blocking, and Giannis immediately drops one of the 2 remaining tiles that fit there. Oh, this is lovely, lovely. This tile should be instantly put into that square with a lot of joy in our hearts. It's also something that's going to give the Latvian a great psychological advantage. although credit where credit's due, Pakshe is one of the players who has a really great mindset when it comes to dealing with luck, and seems to just generally be in control of his emotions, so I don't think we're gonna see tilting. And still, the decision is quite obvious here. We need to go here or here in order to block this, and the more precise move has been selected. Jan is now with a chance to save that square, or at least make it less likely to be blocked. There's still one tile, one dagger tile that fits there, and it would be great to preserve the threat of completing our city, because it could possibly be game decisive. Even though it's just 50%, it's a great 50% to have. And we have only one meeple anyway. It's not like we have many good uses for this tile. Well, we have some. We could go here, but that would give a city cap for our opponent to use. Yeah, okay, so blue makes a move that makes some sense. Instead, he goes for the counter block. So he allows his city to be blocked, but he blocks red city in response. And that is actually a great trade-off from blue's perspective, because red managed to eliminate the grade 2 threat, but blue eliminated the city which had a much higher completion chance. So Pakshe was able to block a city which had only one tile available for it, and for this city there were like 7 tiles available. So this is an absolutely lovely sequence from blue's perspective. But one thing that blue is struggling with is meeples. Red has meeples, and he uses one of them to clean off a city cap and start another construction project. napalmeye doesn't really have ways of dealing with this, so probably going here and just developing the monastery is the way to go in this position. I also want to point out that there are not 3 but 4 tiles that fits into this square, and one of the tiles is the extender, which, in addition to getting blue a meeple back, would have the lovely benefit of unboxing red's farmer with just 6 points and no chance to grow. napalmeye is thinking whether to use the Dorito here or here, and instead he makes the first mistake of the game. This move, even though it does something, right, it bothers red city a little bit. The value of that move is less than the value of 1 point and bringing your monastery to closer to completion. Maybe blue has calculated that there are a lot of big tiles left. There are actually 4 triple city tiles, and then he can maybe go here and try to do some damage, but that's not really the most likely occurrence there. So finally blue gets himself on the scoreboard by completing 2 cities, unifying both farmers, and for the first time in this game getting himself a meeple majority, which is going to be short-lived as Pakshe is about to finish himself a 5-point road at the bottom. Yeah, that aggressive scoring really pays off. So he now meepled a 5-point road, completing it with 2 moves. That's 2.5 points per tile. This 6-point road he was able to complete with just 3 moves, so that's 2 points per tile. And this is how you can get yourself an advantage in this game, by completing yourself features with a decent number of points by not spending many moves. napalmeye with the city caps and 2 moves available to him. A move like this, starting a potentially 6-point city and slightly obstructing Pakshe's, would be a logical follow-up to this Dorito move. But again, the idea here to just continue his monastery, set up some more monastery spots, then finish the city, drop a farmer, that would also be something quite enticing. So maybe this tile we just leave over here and we use it later in case we get something like a triple city tile. Instead, he goes for the logical follow-up. Start a new city, gets immediately restricted, and gets a tile which he cannot use, which is rather tragic. Such a juicy, juicy tile and no good spot for it. He'll now probably have to go for a move with marginal value, like going over here, setting up a potential attacking platform against Red City. Red gets himself a city cap, which he probably is going to use aggressively. How about we go here? Okay, so the first time where Red is not that aggressive. He simply gets himself a continuation of the city. Blue gets a lovely tile to finish his road and start a new monastery. His monasteries are, of course, disconnected, but they are scoring 6 points, and 6 points is a lot. Monastery tile for Giannis, which he could use in theory to meeple a monastery, but I don't think this is the right time to do that. We first need to go dangerous. Okay, this move is good, right? Because it adds himself a point, it puts pressure against the square, but the threat of Red completing his city and dropping a farmer is so severe that we need to do something against it right now. Instead, he goes for the wrong city block. That's the least dangerous city, but he does not get punished for it. Playing with fire here a little bit. Pakshe continues a monastery. Now finally napalmeye gets a splitter tile which he can use in a variety of spots, and I hope that he uses it against Pakshe's city. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's only one Dorito tile available. So you know what? It's not unreasonable to not do this. Oh man, I'm getting worried. But okay, for the first time we get the lead on the scoreboard for 3 points. That is significant. Still Red with a gigantic threat of finishing an 8-point city and dropping a farmer that is being left ignored by the Latvian for multiple moves in succession. Okay, monastery for Blue. It's a lovely monastery, which we can use over here to not let Pakshe finish a city and drop a farmer. But I think he might also use it here. Okay, there we go, there we go. Without a meeple is interesting. I'd probably meeple it, but he decides that he needs the meeple for something else, namely for the field fight. It is a worthy fight to be fighting, but it is not an easy one, as there are no easy field connection platformers, and most of them seem to be under Red's control. For example, Red could in theory get a city cap over here, drop a farmer, connect like this through this square. napalmeye with a scoring tile, looking to get juicy 2 points. It's a pretty good position for Blue now, as his city is scoring a lot. If only he can somehow delay the completion of Pakshe's city a little bit further. There's still a large number of city caps that fit into this square, which was also one of the reasons why I actually preferred meepling this monastery, because Red can get this city cap, and Blue can this city cap, and this would already bring the value of the monastery for 6 points, which is something that is an absolutely worthy investment at this late state of the game. Hi Polo Verde, hi Played Mac. Two points have been scored at the bottom, so much at the bottom that I even have to zoom in. Pakshe gets himself an extra monastery point, setting up the completion of the monastery. napalmeye with another scoring tile gets himself a 7-point lead, but Pakshe finishes up the monastery, I gonna think. unless he has some different ideas. Maybe he's thinking of using this field connection platform that was created. So somebody could go here and drop a farmer and try to overrun the main field, which is now worth at least 12 points. Hi, Sergio. The player from Thailand gets a tile with a Mexican name and thinks how to deploy it against the gritty Latvian. Goes for a natural move, simply finishes a monastery, takes the lead on the scoreboard again, gets himself a new city and a threat of getting a city cap, dropping a farmer, connecting to the field, and then getting another city cap and finishing a city for 10 points. So I wonder if napalmeye has not just drawn the perfect tile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this is a bit dangerous. But there are no straight lines. But there is one crossroads available. So if he feels himself in a gambling mood, he could go here, a move that would score him 6 points instantly, because he would be denying red these 2 points and he would be expanding his own city by 4. And how about we drop a farmer there? Is that crazy? I think it's not crazy. It might actually be worth it. Just to have that one extra tile that goes there as a big threat. It's something that's very nice to have. But blue decides that his position is pretty good and he doesn't have to be spending a meeple for 0 points. So he might be spending a meeple for 3 points instead. How about we go here and drop a farmer like this? This looks incredibly annoying. And there will be multiple tiles available for us to connect. Well, by multiple I mean 2. It will still be the one crossroads and the starting tile. Oh, there isn't a starting tile. Okay, it will still be the one crossroads. But it's still worth doing, because these are 3 guaranteed points, and then you can get some extra. And you know what? You know what? If we go here and drop a farmer. Let me try zoom in, because this needs some attention there. So we go here, we drop a farmer. In case we don't draw the crossroad tile that allows the connection here, we can still draw a sequence of the left-handed dagger, which is available, I believe, plus a vanilla city cap. So that would be 2 possible entries into the field, and then this move would already score 3 points. And it will also deny a farming platform for opponents. It looks very good, and this is exactly what he's going for, but of course he wanted to calculate first. Pakshe is going to get himself 8 points by finishing a city in all likelihood, unless he wants to go at the top and try and do a bit of gambling, which wouldn't make sense from his perspective, I believe. So 8 points go on Pakshe's scoreboard. And a meeple back, and napalmeye immediately gets a crossroads, which he will use to overrun an 18-point field. And there isn't any real platform for Pakshe to overrun this field, because the natural move of going over here and dropping a farmer does not work, because there's not a single tile that goes here anymore. So the best that the Thai player could hope for is to maybe find a route to win this game without the field, which sounds like an impossible task at this point, really. Or maybe set up another field connection. That would sound more realistic, like going somewhere here, for example, and trying to invade the field like this. Or maybe going here, trying to invade like this. Easier said than done, of course. Ooh, there's no, not that. Yeah, so he of course gets himself the farmer, but this farmer won't be doing much. It is just a way for red to score extra field points for this city. It's not a genuine attempt to invade the big field. Or if it is a genuine attempt, then it's probably a miscount by either Pakshe or myself. And we're gonna leave a bit of intrigue here. We don't know who miscounted. But I think nobody miscounted, so Pakshe is planning to get himself a vanilla city cap, which would give him 10 points for the city and also 3 points extra for this farmer. This is exactly what happens. But I don't think it should be enough for the Thai player because Giannis has the monastery and the bigger field and the big ruin. napalmeye gets himself the quadruple city tile, which means that Pakshe has the butterfly as his last tile. So napalmeye will be scoring 4 and Pakshe will be scoring 3. 4 points for the city above and 3 points for a city or a field or any feature below. So Pakshe had 18 points on the scoreboard, but these 18 points are almost compensated by Giannis's ruin at the bottom, who is now suggesting a 3-minute break. And blue is even ahead before the fields are counted as a result of his monastery. 21-point field for blue on the left and just a 6-pointer for red. And the final result, 90 for Latvia, 75 for Taiwan, a boost, psychological boost of 15 rating points. So maybe napalmeye will be able to cross the 600 threshold, which he has done already before many times, but still a nice psychological boost. Yeah, look at this, just stellar performance from the Latvian. First of all, by this move over here, creating the opportunity for a big ruin, which he took advantage of, and then finding the right opportunity to drop a key farmer and then getting himself the correct tile for a success. Not that he needed the tile, by the way. He was ahead even before this field invasion, I think. Anyway, a lovely news. Let's see how hard the Thai master is going to fight back in the second one. So let me just correct the screen name of napalmeye to capitalize the E for I. The second game has been created. But Giannis was asking for a 3-minute break. So in the meantime, we can have a look at his bio, which is a pretty fun one. First of all, claiming that he has never won any championships despite trying for more than 15 years. Well, I can attest to him trying for more than 15 years. I played against him many times. Most notably in the 2014 National Championship of Latvia, and we had a game with an unbelievable amount of blocking, which I won something like 75-71, like something really ridiculously low. Not ridiculously low, but also quite low. And his style really hasn't changed by much. It's like lots of these blocky style stuff that really annoys his opponents. But what has, of course, grown is just it changes. Like is as the tactics, his style is now much more flexible, and also his calculation now has become really on point. And As for him managing to bring Nalheim to swearing on stream, well, you can go ahead and watch that one right after this. It was a rather fun WTCOC match. I suggest that we sit in silence and occasionally refresh the page to see if the second game has started. And no, it hasn't, but we're getting there. Also, very interesting thing with the board game arena, because like if you click on the game and then it hasn't started, then you can't even go back to the previous page, and I'm really not sure what to do about that. Well, now the game has finally started, and now blue is going to have the starting player advantage in what hopefully is going to be the last game of the quarterfinals. A reminder to you all that this is a best of 3, so it's a must win for the Thai player if he wants to hang on in this series. Red, start a new road whilst obstructing blue's city. Blue immediately connects to the road. Red gets a blocking tile, which can be used in one of the two ways. The higher variance way is going here and expanding blue's city, but not allowing its immediate completion, hoping to invade it later. The lower variance move has a slightly less chance of working. That will be simply going over here and setting up an attacking or a blocking platform against this city, but it would make sure that at the very least blue cannot run away with a big 12-point city if he manages to draw a quick succession of city caps. So here we're just going to see to what extent Pakshe respects his opponent. Now, against opponents whom I respect, I could go here, trying to go for the high variance move, but then hoping to invade the city. Against opponents whom I respect a little bit less, or let's say whom I'm afraid of a bit less, I would probably go here to have a slightly worse chance of success, but then to make sure that I can still win this game even if they draw a quick succession of city caps. Oh, it's a best of 5! Right. Thank you, Sergey, for reminding me. Okay, this actually is a bit problematic, because I have a commitment later in the day, and this will make me root for napalmeye really hard. So we have to win this game 3-0, because I gotta be somewhere else. Let's see. I can still stay here for 95 more minutes. Hopefully it should be enough time for the players to settle the differences. Yeah, best of 5, interesting. So actually I might even consider streaming in the evening, because I will be back around 15 minutes after the start of the match. And given that it's a best of 5, it might be worth it to show the rest. I'ma think about it. Anyway, I'ma go ahead and turn off the heating, because the games have been so exciting that I'm getting a little bit hot, and in the meantime, Pakshe is burning a lot of time on the clock with a curve, understandably so, because there's no good move in that position. We also see that Pakshe apparently does not respect my teammate, because he went for the move with a lower variance but a lower chance of success. Well, hopefully if he gets punished for this level of disrespect, okay? Come on, Giannis, draw a city cap. Not that one. That one's okay too, but then later, next move, we're gonna draw ourselves a regular city cap. In the meantime, Pakshe starts a road which is controlled by Blue's monastery. It is a road nonetheless, so it's totally worth doing. Blue now is going to start a new city somewhere, presumably whilst also building up his monastery. Well, actually, it's quite an easy move. This one seems to be the best by far. It restricts the square a little bit, makes it harder for Red to find a permanent block against this square, and this is exactly what he's doing. A new city by Blue. Red continues his city at the top and restricts slightly Blue's city. Still 7 tiles that fit here. And even many, many more city caps that fit there. So now Red is about to finish his city, I presume. And this would create a one-time blocking threat against Blue's city. Now, we can still defend against this, but it's something that is quite scary to watch for me without knowing what Giannis's tile is. And from his perspective, if he holds in his hand something like a straight line, then he is happy enough because he knows that if Red goes over here, and then we just get a city cap. No, then we just cover up and we still have 5 city caps that fit there. But interestingly, Red doesn't even bother. Maybe Red decides that there's going to be a better blocking opportunity later. I don't think there is going to be. This is one of those positions where it's actually better to be not so purist about the type of blocking platform that you create. Because there's so many city caps that fit into this square that if you wait too long before you threaten the block, Blue can just draw a tile that fits into this square even before Red has a chance to even create a threat of a block. Red, with a city cap, presumably is going to finish one of his cities, but what do you know? Actually, the best move is probably to finish neither of the cities, and in this position, I expect him to finish a road and start a 4th city, taking some lessons from the 2024 gold medalist Kriškautis. Anyway, time to turn off the heating. So what are we having? Napalmeye with a chance to quite easily defend his city. And again, this is one of those moves where you should not be burning time on your clock. You gotta just do it. The one thing he's thinking is that after this defense, whether it's worth to meeple the road or not. And wow, I'm surprised Giannis, who is generally much more conservative than I am when it comes to meeple placement, for once places a meeple on a feature where I wouldn't place a meeple. And I think it's actually quite important that he should not have placed a meeple there, because this guy sometimes gets lost. And the value of a meeple there is really, really marginal. The reason for that is this city meeple over here. So let's say if Red gets something like a straight line, and Red, for whatever reason, chooses to go here and start a new road, then Red will be exposing his city square here for a block, and so Red is less likely to do so. Meepling the road, on the other hand, could be a very efficient way to do things with the right draw of tiles. So for example, an umbrella tile would be lovely, lovely, lovely for Blue here, because it would enable him to get 3 points for the road and also to start the city takeover on the right like this. I was surprised by this move from red. And in fact, to be honest, this move from red was just a plain mistake. In fact, it helps blue so much. It creates a blocking platform which is not really potent. And it helps out blue with a critical monastery square. And there's a reason why this move wasn't in my radar, just because it's a plain mistake. Whereas the alternative move was so much stronger, finishing a road, disrupting a monastery spot next to Blue's monastery, but that's great. These are exactly the kind of mistakes that we want to exploit here. And also for me, it's quite pleasant when opponents make mistakes, not only because it makes it just much easier to play, but then also the win feels like a bit more deserved afterwards, because I know that I didn't just get lucky. Is that, you know, and if my opponent is sad about the loss, then I know that they did it to themselves. It's not a big mistake, but for Pakshe's level, it's quite a significant mistake. So I really expected him to find a stronger move there. A heuristic, generally, don't help your opponent. It's very simple. You know, you help yourself and you disrupt your opponent. This move helps blue. Blue is now happily consolidating his road meeple at the expense of some safety, though. So you see, because blue meepled this road here, he was compelled to continue this road, whilst this straight line could have been used next to his monastery. But I love when that happens. He gets another straight line so he can have his cake and eat it too. This move is having his cake, and this move, which is a move that I expect him to play now, is eating his cake. But instead, he wants to delay the monastery completion. And I also understand that decision. It also makes sense. He wants to use this tile as a blocking tile. But actually, it's okay. It's okay. But I think the other move was a bit stronger, because the idea here, if you go like this, then you're leaving a 4-point road up for grabs, but it's a 4-point road that only you can claim realistically. Because whoever places a tile here, they would be restricting red city, and that's something that red will not be incentivized to do. Blue now connects the roads. Not allowing red to place a crossroad here. Yeah, as blue, I would have rather freed up this city, but okay, we can live with it. Now, blue is going to meeple the monastery. Please meeple the monastery. Please, please, please. Yes, this is exactly the situation where you should be spending your last meeple. We will be losing a bit of value from city caps, but there's still a sufficient number of tiles to get a meeple back. The only issue that I see, and I think this move was indeed a misprioritization for blue, is the fact that these two meeples are quantum entangled, if you will. So the position of one influences the other. So as soon as a tile is drawn in this square, the meeple at the north is going to be vulnerable, because red can get a curve like this, leading this road all the way in the blocked square over here. Conversely, if the crossroad tile is drawn at the top at first, then blue is going to continue his road at the top, but red is then going to go over here and restrict the bottom meeple. So there's really no way to get out these two meeples alive safely. So the best thing that blue can do is simply get compensation for a meeple that is likely to be blocked, and he's doing exactly that. Another straight line drawn by blue, and you know, it's not very often in Carcassonne where you're happy to draw a straight line, but this has to be one of those cases. He gets 9 points on the scoreboard and a meeple back to play, and also a threat. Lovely threat against red city. And now red, with his meeple shortage and a 0-point statistic on his scoreboard, does not have a good way to use this monastery. He could go over here, spend his last meeple for 5 points, but that would be quite reckless. I don't think he can afford to do that. So his best move is probably something like this, restricting this road and thus restricting the blocking options that blue has against the red meeple on the right. The good old block the blocking square. Kaike is saying, it's kind of interesting how Alexey and Otto differs in opinion about the umbrella. I was thinking of somebody gonna do this, so are you like, are you actually like watching two streams at the same time? Well, in any case, like this move, if not for this move, then this monastery would have been in trouble. But it's not in trouble. Red is now being a bit impatient, and blue is going to benefit from that. I'm going to quote Vladimir's wisdom here. Okay, first of all, the purpose of this move is he's trying to block two of these meeples. But as I told you before, these meeples were already in an awkward position. You had this sort of quantum entanglement effect in Carcassonne. But now, napalmeye has plenty of moves available, not with just this tile that he drew, but with many other tiles that he would have, with which he can save both meeples at the same time. So for example, now an easy move is just going here, which is exactly what he does. He can safely continue his road and also threaten Red City, by the way, and at the same time protect this square over here. And the wisdom of Vladimir Kovalev, who said it's 4 years ago in one of his streams, if you need to block in two places, it's better to block in neither place. That's because the meeples of blue were already quite awkwardly entangled, and just leaving blue alone to try and untangle that situation is already difficult enough for blue. In the meantime, Pakshe get a fantastic tile to score 4 points finally, and to protect his city from easy blocks. napalmeye, with the last straight line of the game, continues himself a road and also slightly restricts the city of red, hoping to go there, then block, and so on. In the meantime, red developed the city at the top, which is quite annoying for us to deal with, but he does not do it just yet. He instead makes a smart move, continues the road, and exposes a sensitive square which Pakshe successfully covers up. Pakshe is also meepling the last city cap in order not to allow napalmeye an easy sequence of 2 Doritos, but a city cap for napalmeye would ensure 4 more points and a continued temporary meeple advantage. So extender for Pakshe, who gets himself more points and more freedom for his meeple, but napalmeye finally with the horizontal splitter tile gets himself 23 points on the scoreboard in total and a meeple back. And the meeple back, like the timing of this is absolutely huge, because his next move is going to be with a road over here and a farmer, and that farm is just so fantastic, and that's why Pakshe is trying to do everything he can to delay that fateful moment. In fact, it's a really good move for Pakshe. It makes things quite awkward for blue. Blue could still go over here and drop a farmer, but then there will be some threats against his road meeple. But given that there will be threats against his road meeple regardless, I'd still do it. On the other hand, it's not necessarily a bad idea to delay that move a little bit and go here, trying to give himself more time to spend some time with the meeple majority. We know that that wouldn't have worked. Pakshe now gets a crossroad tile which fits in 3 places. He can use it here to get a meeple back. He can use it here to get a meeple back. And he can use it here to meeple back. And all 3 options have advantages and disadvantages. He goes for the one which gives him the most immediate points. And napalmeye now needs to stay calm. There is a tempting move that I really hope he doesn't play. The tempting move is to go here, score 4 points for the city, give Pakshe a meeple back, but that would make sure that Pakshe's city is a little bit shorter, that it's only worth 6 points instead of 8 or 10. This would also make sure that there are 2 more cities on Blue's field. But the reason why I don't like this move, and I hope that Blue does not play it, even though the way I describe it actually makes it sound quite appetizing, the reason why I want Blue not to play it is because it will be quite easy for Pakshe to use his newly gained meeple majority and drop a farmer here. As Blue, I'd rather start thinking geometrically, and this is something similar. So he gets the splitter on the field to make it bigger. I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of it, because the field is already big enough, and if we make it too big, there will be more options to connect to the field, not something that I'm super excited about. Another splitter for napalmeye will, of course, score pretty well. He's now able to meeple another city cap and so on, but there are just more field invasion options. And long term, Pakshe's meeple situation is actually pretty good. He's now going to get a meeple back from his road without giving back a meeple to Giannis yet. Or scratch that, as a curve is immediately drawn by the Latvian. 9 points for the monastery, and it's 2-2, and now we're about to witness an exciting Brazilian field fight between the player from Thailand and Latvia. Pakshe with a tile which is normally good, but it's actually not quite easy to drop a farmer with it. He might go for it anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 curves remaining. So going over here makes sense. Going over here with a farmer makes sense. Both of these moves would give back re-invasion opportunities for the Latvian, but in the long term, it is a bit easier for Pakshe to recover meeples. First of all, there's still plenty of tiles that fit into this square. And by plenty, I mean 3. And there's a threat which I think Giannis has been overlooking a little bit. This city over here. It is surprisingly easy to complete that city. In fact, all Pakshe needs is to draw a single Dorito. And then he goes here and then covers up his city, waiting for a row Dorito at the bottom and any type of city cap at the top. Very curious to see what the player from Thailand does here. He might be tempted to go over here with a city cap, but that would be imprecise. We don't want to be spending a valuable city cap at the top before we've covered up this part of the city, because Blue still has this invasion platform available to him. And now that he has an extra meeple back, it is easier for Blue to use that platform. Pakshe starts a new city there. That is interesting and a bit misguided, maybe. I'm not sure. It does actually. It's very, very interesting because first of all, it does restrict napalmeye road a lot. There's only one tile to complete napalmeye road. And then also red knows that if Blue goes over here with a crossroads, for example, then there will be still 2 dagger tiles that fit into this square for red. This is a very advanced concept. So you can think of meeple safety not in absolute terms, but in relative terms. Not how safe your meeple is overall, but how safe your meeple is corresponding to your opponent's meeple. And the point here is that this meeple is safer than blue's meeple here. So it is okay to place it. Also, I think it's the first time I've mentioned this theoretical concept. I should make a video about this. I should make a video about a lot of things. In any case, 3 quick points for Pakshe on the left, who draws a tile which the Latvian absolutely would have loved. But a fantastic tile for blue. It is a strategically significant tile because at the very least we get to breathe a sigh of relief regarding the city on the left. Yes, we have to add points to our opponent, but it's just so good to eliminate that threat, because the city at the left will not be completed. And in fact, we don't even have to attack that city anymore. Wow, I'm shocked about this. Pakshe, gambly. The move that I expected from the Thai player was to meeple the 6-point road. And in fact, I think that it is correct. But he does not want to meeple it simply for the sake of preserving meeple parity. The problem with this move is that napalmeye has one incredibly high impact tile now. If blue draws the crossroads, which I think he now simply deserves to do, then he'll be not only getting his meeple back, but also scoring this 7-point road. And I think Pakshe's point is that he perceives himself to be behind enough that he would be willing to sacrifice such a large amount of equity. So basically, he's hoping to draw the crossroads himself. But there's also another possibility. If Pakshe can put his meeples to good use and drop some farmers, and maybe not only equalize but also overtake napalmeye's field, then once blue draws this tile and gets his meeple back and gets the 7 points for this road, then red will be in such a good position that red's going to win anyway. So I think this is something that red is banking on. And maybe that makes sense, but I really don't like giving that much equity. And even if red successfully draws the quadruple crossroad tile, having a 6-point road is nice. Oh, but you know what? There's another positive scenario for red. If red draws the quadruple road tile towards the end of the game, then red can actually place it in this square regardless, taking the 7 points, giving meeple back to napalmeye, but this could happen at a point in a game where napalmeye cannot use the meeple productively anymore. So there are positive scenarios available from this decision for both sides. It's an interesting move. Yeah, Pakshe is really making some interesting decision here. And in this game, Giannis is just making overall solid moves, and it has served him right at this point, as he is 13 points ahead on the scoreboard. His position is looking good overall. He has the stronghold on the field. And with the field, the issue is, like, as soon as Pakshe attacks, napalmeye is going to re-attack. Right now. It is not clear exactly how he does this. So he could go here. This would also make sure that this square is fully blocked, because Pakshe still technically has... No, he doesn't have anything. This square is in fact fully blocked. There are no tiles that go here whatsoever. So there's no sneaky setup available for red to finish that city. So these both meeples are completely deceased. So farm it is. Blue probably should be going for the field at the top. As for the orientation, I'm not sure. Okay, he goes for the high variance approach, setting up the road monastery, ouchie, for whoever the side that does not draw the road monastery is. Haha, look at that! What a sequence! What a sequence! This is what the Carcassonne brothers would call inspiration. And he even meeples the monastery, which is, to be honest, something that I would not do as red. I think it is a bit too dangerous for red at this point. Because, well, yeah, because of that. He could get his meeple, because it's very difficult for blue to get his meeple back. So I would have preferred just 2 points. But red, thankfully for... Wait! No, you have to be kidding me. That was basically a block. There's only one tile that fits into the square. There are no crossroads, there are no straight lines, there's only one starting tile. I think Giannis is being greedy here a little bit. A bit too early in the game. But that's okay. Because Pakshe still spent his last meeple. And we're still ahead on the scoreboard. So what we're going to do, we're going to start, build some blocks against these meeples. Maybe here is a possible move. Maybe here is a necessary move, given the low number of tiles that fit into that square. And then we're going to try and make sure to block at least one of these guys. Or maybe we can simply get the starting tile to get ourselves a meeple back. Yeah, but the point is, this move seemed to be way too risky. Because there were some tiles available to block this monastery in one move. And it's just not worth the extra points in a position as open as this. Because the field is so big that the value of the meeple is very high. But it's definitely nice that we're drawing Doritos. Sadly, there are still 3 Doritos available for red to finish his city in the center. And red now gets himself a scoring tile with which he can expand himself the ruin on the right. Napalmeye, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with a chance to start blocking more. Actually, that's an absolutely lovely tile for the Latvian. Because there's a move that makes it difficult for both farmers to enter the field, and he finds it. Now, Pakshe can still connect, and he connects to his rightmost farmer. Napalmeye gets himself the road meeple back. I kind of forgot about that option. He does not get the 7 extra points. But the meeple back should be enough to seal the deal in this game. If blue plays his cards right, then there shouldn't be a way for red to get a meeple back and drop a farmer, and this is what seems to be necessary to happen for red to win. Whilst Pakshe is thinking what to do with this butterfly tile, although there is a solution, I think. We just go here and get both sides a meeple. This would definitely benefit Pakshe a lot by giving both sides a meeple, and also by giving red 1 extra point for the city. He would make sure that there's more variance in this game, and it definitely favors the side that's behind. Because even after completing the city, this monastery roughly equals this ruin roughly equals this road. So it's going to be parity mostly on the scoreboard, except that napalmeye has a few extra points on the scoreboard, and he's going to have the first crack at maybe the leftmost field connection platform where he can drop a 3rd farmer. And also generally, if Pakshe gets just this meeple back, then both guys were going to have just 1 meeple per side. Okay. A Dorito tile for napalmeye should be lovely news. He tries and go to commit some more blocking, but this also opens up some invasion opportunities for the field. I see some possible problems. 4 points are scored by napalmeye, but this field is wide open. Pakshe is going to drop a 3rd farmer now. Can Giannis get himself a compensation farmer close soon enough. No, he can. This is about one of the worst tiles that he could have drawn. He can still try and go on the right. That would open up some farming or blocking opportunities. It's still not easy for the Thai player to get both meeples into the field. Also, this is one of those positions where the point count, the exact point count, is important. Will it be enough if Pakshe just equalizes the field? Okay, we don't need to count. It's not going to be enough. Pakshe needs to win this field. Conversely, is there any way how napalmeye can win by conceding the field and scoring elsewhere? We also don't need to count for that. I think it's very difficult to do. Ooh, that's very interesting. Wise Maze, who's suggesting that blue could go here and try and farm here to connect through this tile, through the starting tile. Even though it's quite risky, there is some merit to that, because it would require our opponents to draw one more tile for winning. Okay, Pakshe gets a third farmer. napalmeye gets a tile which is quite difficult to play. Does he get a farmer himself? We kind of have to, don't we? I think, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's still a curve available. I think we have to go for it. The idea being that red cannot easily connect to the field at the top whilst also blocking the meeple of napalmeye. 1, 2, 3, 4, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I see only 8 curves, so one is still lurking in the deck somewhere. Ooh, there's also this move. We can go here and get a starting tile. But then if our opponent gets a starting tile, then we just lose because they connect here. Red has 2 opportunities to connect. Either here, through a Dorito tile, or here, through a starting tile. And believe it or not, there's still one Dorito somehow in the deck. Yeah, you know what? I feel we gotta go for it. We gotta go for it. Because we can't be hoping to block. Because blocking is not enough. He goes for it. He drops a farmer. Pakshe gets the curve, which is horrible news for us. napalmeye gets the Dorito. He gets one of the possible invasion tiles. Now he needs to think really hard how to use it. So there's a starting tile and there's something else. I'm not quite sure what that something else is. He needs to use the fact that if Pakshe gets the starting tile, he will be not only connecting to the field, but also giving a meeple back to blue. So blue needs to set himself up some scoring opportunities. I don't see any big tiles available, sadly. Oh, a monastery. Oh, okay, so the move for us, even though it's only worth 1 extra point, is actually to go... No, time! Oh, no. Well, he gets the starting tile regardless, but Giannis is losing on time. I mean, he's going to use the monastery here, of course. But he's over time. I want to calculate what would have happened if he's going to go there anyway, but I think... Oh no, okay. I want to count this. How painful is actually this loss? Man, that's painful. If to be honest, I wish that Giannis would have placed this tile here anyway, and then just acknowledged the defeats on paper. But now we actually have to count. Would have won? Okay, so 57-39. Blue goes here for 7 points, and Blue did find the best move, just a tad too late, right? So 64. 65 because of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 71. So that puts us at plus 32. Pakshe has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 27. Okay, this field is just too big. Anyway, I feel like towards the end, Blue sort of played well, right? This move did make the most sense. But I wonder if there were some better opportunities. And I think the move where I'm going to criticize Blue is going to be this one. Because going for a blocking idea seems to be a bit too slow. Another reason why a block here is just not as strong is because Red had this route of connecting the top farmer anyway. So probably what Blue should have done is simply dropped his last farmer here. There were still many tiles available here to connect. At least 3, if not more. Actually 4 maybe. Or something like this, like something really, really good. And any possible blocks or restrictions were reducing napalmeye's chances, but not blocking completely. Yeah, so I think instead of this move, trying to set up a blocking platform, it was just stronger to simply go with more farmers on the field. And it's also another instructive thing, right? Even when your opponent is trying to invade a farm, then dropping an extra farmer in is more powerful, and you can afford to drop an extra farmer in a vulnerable spot. Because if you try to connect to the field in a place which is blockable, that is okay, because your opponent might not have time to both block your invasion and complete his own. And it very often could be the case that your opponent could draw a tile and they would need to decide what to do, either to complete the invasion or block yours. And both would not be possible. So even though the clock is what ultimately decided the game, it is rather a painful one to lose, because Blue was ahead for a long time. And also Blue did play better for the most part of it. But towards the end, it seems that the Thai player had a stronger understanding of this endgame, and also time management. That is certainly painful. Oh, now I get the suggestion. Okay, so napalmeye was Wise Maze was suggesting to go over here and drop a farmer like this, so that in the event of Red drawing a starting tile, Red would be wait. No, that's not what you were suggesting. I'm hallucinating. Doesn't matter. Let's just move on from this game. We know, everybody knows what happened, right? There was a big field fight and the Thai player won. Okay, let's just forget about this. Oh man. Pakshe again as the player with the starting player advantage. napalmeye has started a city, which I really hope is going to get to complete. I am updating the scoreboard, even though it is not something that I like seeing, but it is what it is. New game, new mindsets. There we go. 8-point city, ahead on the scoreboard, exactly what we want. Excellent move by the Latvian. It also happened to be the only move that made sense in that position, but fantastic find. Pakshe with a straight line. Looking to do nothing really. There are no good moves available. There are some. So a move that I rather like is going over here, not meepling the road just yet, but preparing to meeple it after we complete the city, and also not allow blue to draw a starting tile and get himself an easy city. And sadly, the Thai player finds it again. It is quite inconvenient when your opponent keeps finding the best moves. Not all the time, because he put himself in trouble with that butterfly last game. But still. Playing a bit too well to my liking. Pakshe with a straight line. And now that blue has meepled the road, there's really no good move available. I don't know, what do you do? Maybe you can go at the top. And what this would do, well, actually it would do a bunch of things. It would eliminate a monastery spot, and it would also limit options for this square, therefore making this square a little bit safer. And the Thai player finds it yet again. A straight line for blue. And no strong moves available. But at the very least, blue doesn't need to worry about the safety of the square, and so he finds his best move of indirectly continuing his side of the road, and also starting to put pressure on this square. But red gets pretty much the single best tile possible for him at the moment. A dagger tile which will be used to complete his city and drop a farmer. So red is ahead on the scoreboard again. City cap for blue, who will be starting a new city somewhere. But where exactly? We could go at the top, and the point of that would be just keeping that city away from red's field. Or if we intend to fight for red's field in the future, then we can go maybe here and try and put a bit of pressure on a red's side of what could be, but not yet, has become a shared road. Pakshe with a Dorito tile, undoubtedly looking to start a new city. There are several good locations available for this. He could go here, starting a potential invasion. Maybe getting himself a triple city tile. Like this, building it with a lot of Doritos, running away with 20 points. He could also go here, starting a new city way away from the action, but pre-building himself a 6-point loop and cutting his road away from blue's road. He goes for the move at the top. And it's a very flexible move. It's also the one which is highest scoring because it takes advantage of another shielded tile already on the board. And it's not necessarily that he's going to go for this move, trying to build up his city like this. He could also go for something more normal, like city cap plus 2 Doritos. So very flexible building pattern. And the way you play against this as blue, you gotta wait for a useless tile, such as a straight line. Although wait, straight lines are not useless because there's this move available and this move available. Anyway, you gotta wait for a tile. Maybe something like a starting tile. And just try to stick something here. And then once these cities are completed, then this square is gonna be vulnerable. And this meeple is gonna be blocked. Block this guy, just wanna cross it over. It's not there. This would be my wishful thinking if I'm blue. What I like to do during my games, and it helps a lot with the time management. Whilst my opponent is thinking, and if I'm aware of a point situation and aware of a tile situation, and also that's not something that you should really be too preoccupied when there are 53 tiles remaining, I try to plan for the future. I try to think, what am I going to do if I get a road tile? What if I'm going to do if I'm going to get a monastery, and so on and so on. And this allows me to sometimes get that tile on the very next move and then make the decision instantly, or so it seems. But in reality, I have made that decision already a couple of moves before, whilst my opponent was thinking. Pakshe with a crossroads. There are several good moves available. So let's start with the most aggressive one. It's this one. Trying to score a 5-point road in 2 moves. That's the highest scoring option. Then there's this one, which is a rather big mistake. This move was so much better with the roadside pointing up. Now, it's a good idea to score 2 points, and it's a good idea to harass your opponent's city a little bit. But it's not a good idea to be restricting your own field, and it's not a good idea to be continuing your opponent's road. Because there could be a scenario where these roads are going to be separated, and then this guy is going to get a straight line and continue himself a 6-point road. Whereas if this road were to be pointed up, then suddenly this square much more vulnerable. Also, road monastery could go here, and the field could grow a lot. So let's see if this ends up impacting red. Blue goes for his highest scoring move, starting a 4-point road. Now probably going to continue that 4-point road, whilst also exposing an attackable square in his opponent's city. The downside, the great downside of this decision would be helping out your opponent with a monastery square, but Carcassonne sometimes requires sacrifices. Whether it's that particular sacrifice that I'd be happy with as blue, not exactly sure. You know what? Maybe it's okay to be patient there. But maybe it's not okay to be patient there. I don't know. What we could do instead is maybe proceed with the plan of sticking something annoying into the city of red. Because if we're not careful enough, that city could turn into a threat real soon. Instead, Giannis goes with my original suggestion. Which also makes a lot of sense. But yeah, but that square next to red's monastery is really, really difficult to deal with now. Ideally, of course, we want to be drawing one of the 6 road ends, or one of the 6 crossroads, going here and eliminating that monastery spot. But then if you wait too long, then red can build up the city. Or red could just draw something like a curve and equalize our road. So there are many unpleasant options for it, and just waiting for the perfect tile is sometimes wishful thinking. Red, with the straightest of the straight lines. Well, I'm not sure if it is the straightest. In this edition, they appear to be a bit all the same. But in the 20-year anniversary edition, each tile is like slightly different. So the straightest of a straight line could be a thing. Red gets himself a point. Also makes it harder for blue to finish his city at the top. But blue gets a lovely, friendly cow tile. And is looking for one of the most unfriendly ways to use it. He simply chooses to invade red city at the top without a meeple. Yeah, it's tricky whether you want to be spending a meeple there. Eventually, you're going to have to place a meeple because Red City is just going to grow big enough that even if it does not get completed, we would be getting a lot of points as red. So blue is going to have to invade it at some point. Red can build up his city if he so chooses. Or red can go for this move, trying to nom 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 on these squares. The disadvantage of that would be unboxing his farmer forever for pretty much 6 points. This field has already a tough time developing as a result of this decision here. Then not allowing it to grow from this side would be even harder. Red instead tries to be a bit more aggressive. That actually makes a lot of sense, but when you start moves like these, even though it's a decent move, sometimes what happens is that this city gets completed, but this meeple get blocked. Oh, no, 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 no. Blue finishes a road, but blue makes a slight imprecision. It was much better to turn this tile the other way, and I'm going to explain you why in a second. So if you do like this, then this monastery square becomes a little bit worse, because if they get a regular monastery, then blue can still go at the top and block that square. But this straight line plus straight line combo actually makes it basically impossible to block, because there's still, well, actually, maybe blue recognized that there are a bit fewer straight line shaped tiles available than usual. I still maintain that it is harder to block a hypothetical monastery of red permanently, as demonstrated by the fact that red was able to pre-complete that spot with an extra scoring tile anyway. In any case, if it is an imprecision, then a slight one. Red is creating this coin flip, which blue has to win, but he doesn't. So this imprecision will be costing up red some... It will be costing blue a little bit. You see, if this crossroads were turned the other way, this would not have happened. Blue decides to drop a farmer at the bottom, which I think is a tad impatient. It makes all the sense in the world, trying to equalize red's farm, but red's farm has not developed yet. And I really like exploring the option of playing that field restriction. For example, if these cities never get completed, then if this farm stays at 6 points, then that would be a lovely thing to experience as the Latvian. But this move by blue actually is also not one that entirely gives up on that idea. There's a scenario where this square gets blocked. There's even a scenario where this square gets blocked by red. And then blue can go here and develop his side of the field without ever connecting to red's field. But blue now gives up on this idea because he tries to restrict Pakshe's city a little bit more. He now also gets a fantastic tile that's going to give him 11 points, 3 for the road and 8 for the city. Pakshe is getting 9 for the monastery, but napalmeye will be ahead on meeples and equalize on the scoreboard. And now, as I said before, this meeple on the left looks a little bit vulnerable. Still nothing to be too worried about. But there are ways how this meeple could suffer. Pakshe with a decent side ruin chooses not to expand it, instead equalizes napalmeye's city just in time, as blue had a tile to finish the city and start a new one. But instead, blue is just gonna start a city elsewhere. Where exactly, though? They're not good places to do that necessarily. Maybe here. Yeah, you know what? That's actually extremely annoying for red, because it's not that easy to block your new meeple. It also sets up a starting tile to score 4 extra points and consolidate blue's side of the road in case red ever chooses to use a crossroads to separate. And this move would also set up an opportunity to further restrict red's city against this square here. It would also have some downsides, because there are scenarios like if the roads are connected, for example, a curve goes here and a curve goes here, then suddenly blue has the better field, and blue actually has the incentive of blocking this square rather than saving it. So maybe a more neutral move is in order. But which exactly one? Like, it's so not obvious. Okay, the most harmless move, I guess, is going way on the right, starting a new city like this, and also putting additional pressure against this square, and this is exactly what blue chooses to do. Red gets himself 2 points. This is also the last crossroads. This means that this square is now very, very, very blockable. Blue is probably gonna get himself a meeple back. And renew parity on the scoreboard. Pakshe with a curve. Will he go and block that square? I think he should. I think this would be a very nice idea. And he just needs to bank on the fact that he could draw one of the Dorito tiles or even a splitter tile at some point that would bring the value of his farmer to 9 points, and then his farmer would be happy. And there's still 2 crossroads for him to potentially go here and try get himself a 6-point loop and a meeple back. Going here would also put some pressure on this square and would also protect his city a little bit indirectly, and that's why this is what he's going for. So now in Giannis's interest, it's now to connect the road, because he does not want Pakshe to get a crossroads. And also he's looking to expand the bottom part of his field. And this is exactly what he does. Both players are playing this really, really well so far. Let's hope that this changes soon and Pakshe messes up. Because we need a bit of help. We need a bit of help. The last loss was really, really rough. Pakshe is trying to get himself an 8-point city. And I wonder if this is the moment where we use a shielded tile against our opponent's city. It might as well. It might as well be. Because there's so many city plus field city caps. I think this is one of those rare cases where I would do it. So a move, something like this. It's a very committal move, because you're giving your opponent 4 points potentially. Oof. Okay. Ah, interesting. Hey, this is very interesting. Okay, so he gives 3 points to red, but he blocks this ruin completely, just so that there are no shenanigans with the last ditch effort of trying to complete that city, as there are no cow tiles available to fit that square anymore. And then blue can go here and really expand his bottom farm and make his early idea a reality. He might, for example, now go here for a 4-point monastery, later hoping to get a curve, and with that way he'd automatically gets himself this city into the field. Then he could get a curve and get these two cities into the field and then win this with a big Brazilian field fight. But if that were to happen, Pakshe's 8 points for this city, plus the 6 points for this farmer, plus the 10-ish or so for this ruin, could actually be enough to compensate for whatever the score of napalmeye's farmer is. So a less committal move, such as simply taking 3 points for the road, is also possible. Trying to restrict options, at least delaying the completion of Red City. And this is what he's going for. Saving his meeple up for a little bit later. Pakshe with a Dorito tile, deciding whether it's worth to continue his city. So if he goes here, he adds points to his city, but he leaves fewer tiles available for its completion, which is why he does not do it, and this leaves napalmeye the option to invade. Just in time as a city cap tile was drawn, but red cannot use it here. So at this point, blue should really start hammering away at his meeple advantage. And this would mean developing a big field at some point. A crucial tile to find is a curve early on, which would go here and give us all these extra green squares. And an option to even draw a road monastery, which would be, without a doubt, game winning, because it would expand the farm by so much. 25 tiles only available to play. A roughly equal position because Pakshe's ruin is really, really good. So napalmeye needs to find a way to invest his farmer in such a way that scores a lot. And a curve, crucial tile. I hope that it is placed where I think it's going to be placed. There are other moves available, such as going over here and trying to ask this meeple, please be blocked. Please be blocked. Can I ask you kindly? No, this is too slow. This is too slow. Okay, we don't expand our farm yet. We can do it maybe later. And it could be the case that this move just ends up working. Maybe blue successfully blocks red city. This would not be what I would have done, but okay. Pakshe with a cow tile, horse tile rather, looking to get himself 3 points. Or rather, burning his time and then getting 3 points. I know that he might be a bit reluctant, because this move would give back a 3-point road. But hey, if you take 3 points and give back your opponent 3 points, it's not bad. And there are some scenarios where red gets a meeple back and then meeples the 3-point road regardless. Blue also needs curves in other places, such as this city restriction and this field expansion. But something that would be very, very nice from the Thai master is if he maybe thought for a little bit longer, exactly 86 seconds more longer, and then this would compensate for napalmeye loss on time in the previous game. A quadruple city tile drawn by napalmeye, who uses it to break Pakshe's city. And now this move actually ends up helping red a little bit, because there isn't really any way to invade the city now. And the city will need to be invaded, not blocked. Because Pakshe now is going to try and run away with it, but a curve is drawn by Giannis. By the way, needed to be pointed out that if blue had gone over here, then this tile he would have been able to use over here and set up 14 points more for the field at the bottom. And now, of course, he cannot use the curve for the same purpose. He needs to go here and try to block this somehow. But there's still at least 2 daggers remaining. Well, there are exactly 2 daggers remaining. So we will later need to follow up that block. But my concern is... well, first of all, Pakshe could just finish his city outright. And then we end up not finishing our field, not expanding our field and not blocking anything. Yeah, that's rather sad. But it's okay. We're down... oh boy, we're down 11 points on the scoreboard and our opponent has a huge ruin. And now we take 5 points, but it just ain't gonna cut it. That field expansion was crucial. But you know what? Giannis is somebody who fights until the end. So I suggest that he urgently try and draw a city cap that goes here for 6 points. And then maybe a splitter here and drop a farmer for 9. So Pakshe could actually go here and try and block that opportunity, and this is exactly what he does, unfortunately. Now, napalmeye could expand his field, but now at this point it appears to be too slow, so he'll probably be trying to build up his monastery and try to get a meeple back. That makes all the sense in the world. And now this is just unfair. Pakshe gets another city cap, gets 6 extra points, and this game will be not the most pleasant spectacle for our Latvian fans, which all of you have to be now. But let's just see how blue manages to recuperate himself before the next game. Curve placed near the monastery, still had some chances to get these 9 points and a meeple back. That would be something. Pakshe still with 17 points and a big ruin extra. He can even make things worse by adding an extra point to his ruin. Which is exactly what he does. napalmeye with a dagger tile, looking to develop his monastery. And there's still a road monastery available, so you know what? Wait a second. No, wait, well, almost. Not like this, not like this. That's an imprecision. It was better. Okay, let me try. It was better to turn the tile the other way, because the one remaining monastery is the road monastery anyway. And then we get the road monastery, meeple it for 6 points, get our meeple back or whatever. And then this would pre-build a 5-point road, which we would meeple with the curvy tile. So we get 5 points extra. Then we get a city cap to get 4 points extra for the city and 1 extra monastery points. And on our last move, we go over here, we meeple a 9-point field and get ourselves 1 monastery point. So it is extremely wishful thinking, but this sort of extremely wishful thinking is the exact type of thing that you have to do if you want to try and win from the Latvians' perspective here. And this would be giving us, let me try counting, so 2, Basically a lot of points. Bloom, still with the Dorito tile, thinking whether it is a good idea to meeple the new city, and if he were to meeple it, where exactly he would place this. Instead of meepling a new city, he's trying to set up an invasion into the big ruin, perhaps, which also makes a lot of sense. Pakshe can kill off his dreams by going over here, adding himself a ruin point, and not allowing an invasion. But instead he simply takes 4 points. Well, I guess Giannis can still invade if he so chooses. But instead he goes for the 9-point field. Okay, you know what? Yeah, Pakshe now blocks the monastery. But you know what? Maybe from napalmeye perspective, there was another way how he could finish the monastery. He could go here with a Dorito, then go here with a Dorito, and then with one city cap, finish both the monastery and the 10-point city at the same time. Again, extremely wishful thinking, but what you gonna do? napalmeye with a Dorito tile. Cannot score because he already spent his last meeple on a 9-point field, which is gonna be sadly nowhere near enough, but that's okay. Take a deep breath. We're gonna have a starting player advantage in the next game. Pakshe gets himself a 9-point field to rub it in towards the end, but that's fine. Just gotta win 2 more games. napalmeye suggesting a 3-minute break. Wise decision to calm his thoughts. Now, if I look back at this, maybe I would have preferred some different move from blue, but in reality, with this particular run out of tiles, I don't think the game was really winnable. But maybe that field expansion at the bottom was truly blue's best shot. So as a result of this, Pakshe gets himself 6 rating points, back in the 750s territory, really in good shape here. Hi Helge, I'm going to ignore your second comment. And at least I hope that we get to see the start of the game, because I'm gonna need to leave in about 10 minutes. And this will be enough to see who is actually ahead. Because obviously I scheduled this stream thinking that it's a best of 3. Which was a rather silly thing to do, given the fact that I'm still playing in this tournament myself, and I know that I'm playing a best of 5 on Friday against RabbitRain. So why did I assume that everybody else is playing a best of 3? Alright, now time to check if the 4th game has started. Not yet. How about now? Not yet. How about now? Not yet. So Giannis with a starting player advantage. Nice. And Pakshe with the monastery. Certainly a tile that he likes seeing. Well, fortunately for us, he does not necessarily use it in the optimal spot. But this move is also reasonable, because it helps to play against the city, but it scores a little bit less. Napalmeye with a monastery of his own, so it seals 0-0. And a great tile for red that helps him equalize the cities. And also build up his monastery. So what he should be doing is probably going over here. Well, not only going over here, yeah, because it's not possible to draw really. Yeah, exactly like this with this orientation, because then it's also restrict the road of Napalmeye, who now gets the monastery. Okay, now we get to do the good old stacking. This is the best draw that we could have possibly hoped for. But Pakshe now has a chance to do the good old Ukrainian technique, although it's not fair to be calling it old, because it's still apparently a novelty to many players, and it's not easy to play with, and some players still don't like it, although it absolutely wins games. The most annoying possibly move that I can possibly imagine would be going here and using a meeple. It would severely impede the development of these monasteries. It would also disconnect the road from this road end, not allowing an easy completion with a couple of curves. And then after that, Reds can pursue all kinds of other things in other parts of the board, knowing that his adversary's monastery has been stopped. And he finds it. So certainly props for red here. And at this point, because again, I did not think that it was a best of 5, I'm gonna need to leave you. So obviously you can continue watching coverage, because it's been covered in English on Nalaheim's channel and in Spanish in El Pituto Dado Vuelta. So let me just go here, and I'm gonna paste you the 2 links in the chats. So, okay, so there's this one. I'm gonna put this one first here. And then I'm gonna copy the no, copy link. Yep, then I'm gonna copy you the Spanish stream, and then I'm gonna go, and then next week I'm gonna try and be better at scheduling things so that I don't have to leave in the most exciting moment. Okay, so last look at this position. Now here's what's gonna happen. Red, of course, found a fantastic move, but oh, look at this, blue with lovely defense. So what's going to happen? Blue finishes a monastery over here, then blue gets a 4-point road, then blue gets a big city for 20 points, then blue gets 2 more monasteries, a farm for 30 points, wins this one plus 50, and then with the mental boost that they have from this, they have no problem winning this best of 5 series in the decider. So this is the outcome that I would expect, and I will find out about this much later than you when I come back this evening. Anyway, so thank you all so much for sticking around, and have fun watching Nalaheim's or El Pitufo's streams. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.